Hey everybody, welcome to Light Screen Action. I'm your host, Tiana Sirmans. Today my special guest is the Senior Director of International Research and Development and Tastemaster for Cold Stone Creamery, aka a ice cream scientist, which I was even surprised to know that was such thing, Dr. Maya Warren. Hi, how are you today?
Hi, Tiana. I'm great. It's so great to meet you. It's so great to see you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Same here. Thank you so much for saying yes. I know this is going to be a fun and very interesting interview.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's ice cream. Like, who doesn't love ice cream? That's what I always say.
Unless you're allergic to it.
Even then, there's a substitute, like some kind of
Yeah,
non-dairy frozen dessert, maybe sorbet or popsicles, that are all
yeah,
non-dairy. It's definitely, kind of a win-win-win for everyone, I like to say.
I know, right? Yeah. So, as I was mentioning before, you are an ice cream scientist, which sounds really cool. So, what does an ice cream scientist do?
So, as an ice cream scientist, I could do a lot of different things, but basically, I make a lot of ice cream, but I also research ice cream. So, I look to find, the best ingredients and create new ice cream type products. So, ice cream in the US, by legal definition, has to have 10% or more milk fat. But there's also other products that aren't necessarily ice cream that are maybe frozen aerated desserts that could kind of fall into a similar category. And so I get to have fun and create all new types of frozen aerated desserts, but also make new flavors of ice cream. And I definitely eat my fair share of ice cream because I mean, why not? Like, I'm an ice cream scientist. I have to enjoy it too. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. And it's part of that, just making a bunch of different types of ice cream. Is that something that I know you do? Is like you travel around to different countries and you research them, and then you make ice creams that you think that the country or place would like. So, which country do you think has the most interesting ice cream flavor?
oh, yeah, that's a really good question. Actually, a really tough question, Tiana, because it all depends upon the palate of the person eating it. And, although I may not like it, doesn't mean that it's not a great flavor. So,
Right.
but some of the countries that I've been to that have really interesting flavors typically fall within like sort of maybe like Taiwan or Thailand or Japan. They tend to really push the envelope with flavors.
Yeah.
Whereas some places they tend to be a little bit safer. But even then, I think in the US we really push the envelope of flavors in ice cream in general, not just, in one company, but ice cream in general. The flavors of ice cream, you're like, what? I didn't know that could be ice cream. Like, no way. So it's really cool, but that's the beauty of ice cream. It's literally a blank canvas. You can do anything and everything with it. And I consider myself an artist as well as a scientist. So I literally, when I look at ice cream, I'm like, okay, I know my starting point. Now I get to kind of throw in all kind of flavors and see what I'm able to come up with that hopefully people will enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something really great, just knowing that ice cream can be a bunch of different things and there's so much that you can do with it. So
Yes.
you were talking about how like ice cream is a part of art and it's also part of science and a bunch of other things. So how do you think that making ice cream is about STEM or STEAM?
Yes, very good question. So I'm actually a chemist by trade. So I have a bachelor's of arts in chemistry. And then I was like, what am I going to do with this chemistry degree? Like, I want to do something super fun, super unique, super cool. And I guess what's the coolest and sweetest thing that you can do outside of ice cream? To me, nothing really. So I
Yeah.
decided to go from chemistry into food science and specifically study ice cream because all food is chemistry. It's science. It's so much physics is involved, so much microbiology is involved, so much engineering is involved. So when it comes to ice cream though, ice cream, there's so much science that goes on to make the product. Ice cream itself actually is made up of 3 phases. So it actually has a liquid phase, which we call the serum phase. It has a gas phase, air cells that are in ice cream. And just a little hint, that's called overrun. The air in ice cream, the measurement for that is called overrun, the percent overrun. But ice cream is also a solid. The ice crystals in ice cream are solid. And then also within that, we have partially crystalline fat globules that are in ice cream. So ice cream is so unique because it's made up of 3 phases, but also it's one of the only foods that we eat in its frozen state. So if all the things that you have in your freezer, ice cream probably one of the only ones that you eat at its frozen state versus the meat or the pizza or, you know, I don't know, chicken fingers or whatever it may be in the freezer. You warm those up to eat them. So there's so much science that goes just in the microstructure of ice cream, but it also goes within, you know, the ingredients that are used to make sure that the ice cream is what the consumer will enjoy. So again, there's so much science in it. And so it really fits into STEM and STEAM to the core. And, you know, when I was your age, I didn't even know an ice cream scientist existed. I didn't even know it was a real thing. So I'm so happy to be here today to be able to share it with people and allow people to realize, like, whoa, like I can be an ice cream scientist. Yes, you can.
Yeah, that's a really cool job. I never really thought about it. I mean, I knew that there was a way that you had to be able to like find out the different flavors and test what's going to be good on ice cream or what's not. And so I really love the ice cream scientist job. I think it's really something that's so interesting and great.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's so much fun. I never knew that when I got my bachelor's in chemistry that I would go into ice cream. But when I was a kid, I always loved ice cream. So I'm definitely a walking testimony that, you know, if any kid out there is like, I want to make candy or I want to make ice cream for a living, like I'm telling you, it's a real thing. So being an ice cream scientist is real. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it. I do make a ton of flavors, but actually I build a ton of ice cream formulas to be able to help countries to be able to, you know, sustain and be able to sell a ton of ice cream mix. And so I do a lot of troubleshooting as well. So it's not just eating ice cream all day, every day, but I do get my fair share of ice cream in when I want it.
Yeah, that's just something that I'm sure a lot of kids would love to do.
Yes, it's ice cream. Like who doesn't love ice cream?
I know. Yeah, so what would you say are some of the top skills that you would need to be a successful ice cream scientist?
Yeah, some of the top skills are definitely being able to stay motivated and work hard. For me, so much of what I do is long term. It's not really quick and short. So being able to make sure that I stay with the project because it gets really long and it's like, oh, it's just ice cream, but it's not just ice cream. Like it really has so much more to do than that. But also, you know, don't forget to really like pay attention in school and, you know, do those classes like the chemistry classes and the, you know, food science classes that you need to do to be able to, you know, get to the career that you want, but also make sure that you fall in love with it. Like I literally love ice cream so much that what I do isn't really a job. It's not a career. It's a lifestyle. Ice cream is my life. And for that, you know, no matter what happens with me, you know, in ice cream or anything like that, like I'll always love it because, you know, it starts here first. But the idea to be able to, you know, pursue a career in ice cream, it's not just eating ice cream all the time. But I will say you want to make sure that you have a really good sense of taste to make sure that you can taste the product properly so that you'll be able to say like, hey, this is a good flavor, or not so good of a flavor. But so much of what I do is actually revolves around science in general. So making sure that you take those science classes and that you're really diligent about wanting to be where you are. So a lot of motivation, determination, diligency, but also don't forget to be able to have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you with saying like it's more of like a lifestyle because
Yes.
the ice cream is something fun. Like even the process is really fun getting to make it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I love making ice cream, as you know.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of different flavors that you have of ice cream and a bunch of crazy ones too. So what's the craziest combination that you have made?
Ooh, so one of the combinations that I've made that's a little crazy is beet ice cream. So you know the vegetable beet.
Yeah.
It's like kind of fuchsia-ish, purplish in color. I roast beets and I make that into a beet ice cream. And then on top of that ice cream, after it's frozen, I put goat cheese, honey, sometimes pistachios, and salt and pepper. It's really good. It's kind of a savory take on ice cream, but it's really, really tasty. And it's one of my favorite ones to make, able to, have that vibrant, rich color. We eat with our eyes first. So it's really important always to make sure that your product looks beautiful before the person even maybe knows what's even in it. Because we eat with our eyes first. And then once we taste it, we're like, oh my God, it's so good. But for me, I really love the combination of beet, goat cheese, honey, pistachios, and salt and pepper just in like a salad, but then transform it into ice cream. Like, it's just so amazing, but it's kind of a weird flavor. So
Yeah.
I definitely understand if people are like, oh, not so interested in that one. But again, as an artist, I look to be able to kind of create all different kinds of flavors. I mean, I've had Cheeto ice cream, Dorito ice cream, ketchup ice cream, barbecue sauce ice cream. I know things that I am like, I don't want that ice cream at all, but it's ice cream.
Yeah, especially like the other one you're saying about the goat cheese and the pistachios. I feel like that's something that people would eat, like if you really loved ice cream and then you just ate it all day long. Like that would be dinner or something.
Yes, and it's really nice to be able to build flavors and build the complexity of flavors, and also to be able to support people. If you think about beets are sort of sweet anyway. So it's not super weird to bring them into ice cream because it's like a sweet thing anyway, a sweet vegetable anyway. But then when you add sort of the goat cheese to round it out with some honey and pistachios and, all of that, it really does help bring out the flavor. And I love adding a little bit of salt to my ice cream in general, just a pinch, because it really does help elevate the flavor and it really rounds it out. So I know there's some non-beet lovers out there, but for those of you who are beet lovers, I would definitely recommend trying some beet ice cream with goat cheese, honey, pistachios, if you're not allergic to nuts, with a little bit of sea salt and cracked black pepper. Really good.
Yeah, I don't think you'll really get to like it until you at least taste it.
You have to taste it, right? You won't know. I love that you said that, Tiana. You really won't know until you taste it. So 100% agree with you.
Yeah. So what's one small thing about ice cream that you think that most people would be surprised to know?
I think people are really surprised to find out that there's a lot of air in ice cream. Most people don't realize that there's a lot of air in ice cream. Again, it's the measurement with that is called a percentage overrun, but air is in ice cream so that it can become scoopable. So it's not, rock hard when you try to scoop it. And it also adds to the texture. Some people like fluffy ice cream and some people like a little harder ice cream. It just depends upon what it is that you want. But for example, if you were to go to the grocery store and you were to have a container of Haagen-Dazs. Haagen-Dazs is very dense. It has low overrun. So it's going to be a lot heavier. But then if you're at the grocery store and you take a pint of a Edie's or a Dryers, those are very, very light. So those have a lot more air. No one is better than the other. It's just a preference, which is why there's so many ice creams on the grocery store shelves. But each company determines what their overrun should be and what their target sort of sensorial properties that they're desiring in order to be able to make the product that they know that their target customers will enjoy. So that's why, again, there's so many products out there, but people usually don't realize that there's actually a lot of air in ice cream.
Yeah, that's really surprising knowing that there's air. I mean, I kind of get it because it kind of, as you were saying, it kind of gives the texture so that you can at least scoop it. Yeah. So something that I really like to do with my ice cream is that I like to melt it because I don't like it being hard, because when I first take it out, I want to be able to eat it. So why does ice cream change its texture when you melt it and then you put it back inside the freezer?
Very good question. You're like a little budding scientist over there. Very, very, very good question. So what happens with ice cream is that, remember I talked about ice earlier and how that's, one of the part of the solid phase. So when that ice, it turns into, when ice melts, what does it become?
Water.
So when there's more, now there's more free water when that ice is starting to melt. There's more free water in the ice cream. There's no necessarily new water coming in. It's just the ice that's melting that's becoming water, that phase transition. And what happens is instead of being, itty bitty ice crystals kind of all over your ice cream that you can't detect by the tongue, what ends up happening is that ice melts and then it forms a much larger ice crystal because it melted. So it forms a large ice crystal that now it might be detectable by the tongue. So it's really changing texture over time. So what I always recommend to people is let the ice cream sit out for a little bit if you need to let it scoop. But once you scoop it, get it right back in the freezer so you can help keep that structural aspect of it intact in order to be able to help with the shelf life as well as with the textural components overall to have the best ice cream that you can have for the longest time possible. But if you're like me, you eat a lot of ice cream rather quickly, so it may not last that long.
Yeah, like if you are really ice cream lover, then you really will just go through it.
Yes. But if you're looking not to eat the whole pint, no problem. Take a couple of scoops, put it in a bowl, and put it right back in the freezer. It'll really help extend the shelf life as well as keep some of those ice crystals a lot smaller, so that when it's melting, it's not just forming a large too many larger ice crystals throughout it.
Yeah, that's really interesting to know.
Yes, and another part that I didn't really touch on, but it's also a key component is the air. When it starts to melt, the air collapses a little bit, so it's also changing structure. So again, those structural elements are so key in ice cream that we want to make sure that we have the best product possible if we possibly can.
Yeah, I can really agree. So something that I really love that you do is that you do an Instagram live show where you make ice cream called Ice Cream Sundays with Dr. Maya. And I got a chance to tune into one where you made
Yes.
peanut butter and jelly ice cream. It was delicious afterwards.
Yay.
So really, why did you decide to create it?
Yeah, so Ice Cream Sundays with Dr. Maya started as, sort of an idea that I had to be able to get more people interested in making ice cream and not just making like banana bread and sourdough bread at home. When the pandemic first started, I was like, whoa, there's so many people making banana bread and sourdough bread. And I was like, where are the ice cream makers? Like, where are people making ice cream? And I was like, right. I was like, where is everyone? And so, I did a poll on Instagram, back in like April or something. And I was like, how many of you all have ice cream machines? And maybe about, I don't know, 80 to 100 people replied. And out of those, like only 2 people had ice cream machines. And I know those 2 people with the ice cream machine. So I was like, okay, I've got a whole sector of people that I want to tap into that don't have ice cream machines. And so I then was like, okay, I clearly know about no churn ice cream. I'm gonna, create my own recipe to be able to make it happen. And on May 3rd, 2020, I basically started Ice Cream Sundays with Dr. Maya. I didn't know what would happen with it. I thought, okay, I'll just do 1 episode maybe. And then people joined and people really liked it. And I was like, oh, maybe this will continue. And now, almost, I think somewhere between 17 and 20 episodes in, meaning that many ice cream and or frozen aerated desserts made, I'm now able to not only, come into people's kitchens and homes on Sundays, but I'm also able to put smiles on people's faces and inspire a next generation like yourself to be able to know that ice cream science is a thing, that you can see someone that's doing it and having so much fun with it, and how cool and fun science is. But also during the pandemic, allow for people to be able to have safe and fun activities to do at home as a family. That's really easy, but you get to eat it too. So that's a really fun aspect of it. But for me, it was really about, getting the message out there that, hey, look how cool and fun ice cream can be. And it's really transformed into, oh my gosh, like I'm just so excited to be able to share and spread the joy that I have around ice cream, to inspire other people as well as to, bring smiles to their faces and joy in their hearts.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's so easy to make. Like when I tuned into your thing, I was like, okay, maybe this is gonna be a little hard. It would take a lot. But then there was only like a couple of ingredients. I'm like, this is really easy to make.
It's so easy to make. And that's one of the beauties of it, is that no matter what age you are, you can get involved as well. And so I really wanted to make sure that, even with all the recipes that I make, that there are some, super kid friendly, like unicorn ice cream. And then, there's some that are more adult like, but then there's some that are just in the middle where you can kind of make whatever you want. There's, vanilla base, there's chocolate base, but we've made campfire s'mores. We've made, peanut butter and jelly, like you've said. We made strawberry cheesecake. We've made Lucky Charms cereal ice cream. Again, the unicorn. I mean, there's like sea salt caramel. There's so many ice creams that we've made, and the sky's literally, the sky isn't even the limit. Like ice cream, again, is a blank canvas. So you can do anything and everything with it. But I just love the fact that the community is involved. I reach out to them about once a month on Instagram, and I ask, what flavors do you all want me to make? And then I go through the list. I figure out like which ones are the most popular, the most requested, and I get to work on recipes, and I make those as the recipes that will be for the month. So for the month of September, things are coming out, and I'm just super excited to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's something that they should definitely do, like the different like when we were on the call, you were asking like what would be some like fall recipes that you should do. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yes. The recipes and the winter recipes, sort of the holiday recipes, will be really fun. So I'm definitely looking forward to that as well.
Yes. So something that I know you are, or that you do aside from the Ice Cream Sundays with Dr. Maya, is that you are the co-founder of Ice Cream for Change, which I really love because it's like ice cream for change.
Yes.
Yes. So can you just tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Ice Cream for Change came together with my co-partner, Miss Mona Makes Ice Cream, aka Miss Mona Lipson. And we founded Ice Cream for Change to be able to use ice cream for the good, for the power of good. As people, we love ice cream. It's a food that brings people together, no matter your race, no matter your culture, no matter, what background, what language you speak. It crosses so many barriers, political, religious, gender, etc. And we know that it's a unifying product. So we wanted to be able to use it to be able to do just that. And we were actually really inspired by Bakers Against Racism, who I think this back in June at some point, they gathered bakers from all across the world to be able to come together and raise funds for organizations fighting racism. And we were so inspired by that we created Ice Cream for Change to be able to do something similar in the very beginning, for National Ice Cream Day in July. And with that, we then realized that, we want to be able to help stop systemic racism and injustices, but we also want to be able to continue to use ice cream as a power for good. So we're looking to continue to do things that with regard to civic action and our social duties to just be better people, better individuals, but also for an opportunity to help bring the ice cream community together. There are so many ice cream makers out there that people don't even know about. So we want to continue to do that, continue to highlight them, to be able to say like, hey, this is a person in your community that's doing X, Y, and Z. We hope that you can support them. And Ice Cream for Change was such an amazing opportunity. We started back in July, I guess, and we still have a ways to go. We want to be able to help people, help support, get out the vote in November. So, using the platform for greater good, but also using ice cream as a unifier to be able to do that as well. So thank you so much for asking about Ice Cream for Change.
Yeah, I really love it. Like I said, I really just love the title, love everything.
Thank you.
I just really love the whole title, Ice Cream Scientist, and everything else. So we are coming to the end of the interview, but just for my last question, what is the biggest lesson that you learned from being an ice cream scientist that you can use in day-to-day life?
Yes, one of the biggest lessons I've learned from being an ice cream scientist is simply to do what I love and love what I do. And that is so true to how I live my life. I simply love ice cream, and I want to be able to love whatever it is that I give myself to. And so I literally live, breathe, and eat everything ice cream. And sometimes that might be a little extreme for people, but it's really, I feel like it is, I know it is my passion. And so that's sort of, where I am with it. But I always just, want to encourage people to, follow their heart, do what makes their eyes light up so much that no matter what, they will love it every single day. And that's how I am with ice cream. And it's not just because it tastes so good, Tiana. It's really because of the impact that it has on other people. And the way that I'm able to use my platform as an ice cream scientist to be able to inspire young people just like yourself to be able to know that, hey, that's a career, and look how it can connect us and unify us. And I just want to be able to continue to do that.
Yes. This was just such an interesting and very fun interview.
Yes.
It just had me smiling the whole time. You were smiling. We were both energetic. This was so great.
It was awesome, Tiana. You are wonderful. I love, love, love what you're doing. Thank you so much for having me. But I have one question for you, actually, before we end. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think that my favorite flavor is probably cookies and cream because that's what I get every time. But I feel like if there was like an ice cream that I could make, that would probably be my favorite. Would be a mix of like cookies and cream and maybe like cookie dough.
Ooh, okay. That's definitely doable. With the no churn ice cream, it's super easy to do. So awesome. I love what you're doing. I love that you are not just sitting around during the pandemic, and you're making sure that you are getting out there using your voice for change to inspire other young people and inspire people like myself. So thank you so much for having me, Tiana.
And thank you so much for letting me interview you today. This was amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Welcome. That is all for Light Screen Action. Thanks for tuning in. Again, I'm your host, Tiana Sirmans. Bye.